In this video, we're going to be going through a driving test report sheet for an unsuccessful candidate. I'll be offering advice on how this person can avoid making the same mistakes in future, and I'll also be going through some of the restrictions in place during the current COVID-19 pandemic. If you would like to learn more about driving, whether you're a beginner, somewhere in the middle, or somebody preparing for a driving test, then hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click on the bell notification as well, where you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. If you would like to support me here on YouTube, you can do so by PayPal. By making a once-off donation, I would really appreciate it, and it certainly encourages me to keep making more videos. No memberships, no subscriptions, just a once-off payment. Any amount, no matter how big or small, is much appreciated. So the driving test has changed quite a bit since I last uploaded a video. Applications now are based on the order in which they were received, but the RSA is also prioritising healthcare workers and other essential workers. So in relation to waiting lists, I'm not sure what the waiting list is because it depends on the test centre, but you're talking at least 16 weeks. You should be aware of the following restrictions and advice before you do a driving test. If you have any symptoms at all of COVID-19, whether it's coughing or sneezing, you should not attend the test. Your car should be clean and free of clutter like furry dice, coins and papers. Make sure you give your car a good hoover and clean, and you disinfect all surfaces. Any companions that may be with you, whether it's a loved one, parent or a driving instructor, must wait outside the test centre. The test centre is now reserved for customers only, that is, the learner driver doing the test. Very often the tester will give you a phone call while you are waiting outside, so have your phone ready, the phone number that you applied for your test with, and expect a call perhaps 5, 10, 15 minutes before your appointment time. Some test centres now, the testers will actually come out to the car to you and invite you in. It just depends on the centre. Hand sanitizers will be available in the test centre, so you will have to use that and clean your hands as you enter the test centre. The driving tester will sanitize your learner permit as well, and he or she may carry wipes with them as well, so they may wipe the door handles, they may wipe the seat belts or the seat adjusters. Any part where the driving tester is going to touch, they're probably going to wipe as well, so just don't be surprised if you see that. Face masks must be worn. You have to wear a face mask for the entire duration of your driving test unless you have a special condition that requires you to not wear one. For the most part, driving testers will try and do checks outside the car where possible. So they'll do the checks such as the secondary controls, where they ask you to point out the lights, the wipers, the hazard lights, that kind of thing. That will be done outside the car. So the tester will stand outside, just outside, while you're in the driver's seat, pointing out the various controls. That's weather permitting, of course. And the tester may also stand outside while you're doing your reverse around the corner. So you'll be doing your reverse around the corner and the tester will be standing outside observing you, so as to avoid close contact as you're turning around and observing on your reverse around the corner. So that's an outline of some of the changes that have taken place in relation to doing a driving test in late 2020. Let's have a look at the report sheet now so we can analyse the faults that this person incurred. So at first glance, it doesn't look like it's the worst sheet. I've seen a lot worse. The first thing to notice is that there's no grade 3 marks. So grade 3 is like the pink area, and it means serious or very serious or dangerous, potentially dangerous. Grade 2 is kind of like average marks, medium marks, and grade 1 is minor mistakes. So the thing about this is the mistakes are kind of all spread out over different areas. They're not necessarily confined to one area. Like there's not 3, 4 or 5 specific marks on one area. It's kind of spread out. So that leads me to believe that maybe the driver was perhaps a bit nervous or just needs a bit more practice. Maybe they're not quite well rounded enough to have passed the test this time. So if we start at the top up there anyway, we have position. So we can see there's 2 grade 1s and 1 grade 2. I find this pops up occasionally. You have to keep left of centre on the road, and I want to show you right now a good way in which I advise learners to do this. So have a look at this and try put this into practice yourself. So we noticed a mark on position on the straight for this person. So I'm going to just go through that now in a sec. But first of all, let's do this roundabout. So I'll check my mirrors first and I'll signal. Mirrors again. I'm already looking early and often as I come up to the roundabout. I'm being aware of the right even at this early stage. Looking early and often, as you can see. Looks all okay there, indicator back on, last look, all fine. Now as soon as I take the left turn and join a new road, like a left or right turn, whatever, and I join a new road, I always try and just check my mirrors initially, just to kind of gauge my position and to try and have a nice left of centre position so it looks something like that. And what you need to see is the door handle kind of close to the curb but not too close, and that way you can be assured that you're keeping left of centre. That's if it's a reasonably wide lane. I mean, if it's a narrow lane, you just kind of have to stay central. So I noticed as well that there was one mark on bends. It was just one grade 1 mark, but let's have a look at a right bend here. So we have the red car and the blue car here. Now, it's important that we do what the red car is doing. If we have a right bend, so this bend disappears off to the right up ahead, as you can see, it's better to be like the red car, because that way you're going to have a better view of any oncoming traffic, and you're going to be able to see better around the bushes as well. So if it's a right bend, you keeping left like the red car is better and it's safer. It's also better because if there is any oncoming cars coming this way, you're creating a little bit of extra space here down the middle. So if the bend goes to the right, try and keep left. And from the opposite side, if the bend goes to the left then like that, try and keep central, more central, like the blue car, not like the red car. The red car is in the wrong position there for a left bend. Too close to the left, the bushes may end up blinding his view of oncoming cars, and he's going to be too close to the left there. So we'll just move the red car out of the way here. So you see the blue car here is having a nice central position. He should be central, not too much to the left and not too much to the right, because you don't want to be straddling this white line either. But by being central there, it just gives you a better view of oncoming cars, gives you a better view around these bushes as well. Plus, if it's a country road or if there's no footpath, there may be pedestrians walking towards you on the same side, so it's good to be a little bit central to give those pedestrians a little bit of space. There's 2 marks on this sheet on observation moving off. So that's going to be to do with the blind spot. Either the person didn't check the blind spot or they didn't do it properly. The blind spot is a check over your right shoulder, and you're going to see me demonstrating that now in a practical sense very soon. But let's first of all look at this photograph. So this car, this is my car, it's parked there as you can see. Now if I was to give a quick sideways glance, I'd probably see what's just beside me, let's say in my 3 o'clock zone, let's say. But the blind spot is kind of like in your 5 o'clock zone. And that's why it's so important to check it, because there's a huge area there that you cannot see in the mirrors. So if there's a car pulling out there, or a cyclist about to join the road, or a pedestrian or a jogger crossing the road, it's important that you spot them in your blind spot. Here's me demonstrating the importance of the blind spot now. So this person got a few marks on observation moving off, and it's so important to check your mirrors and blind spot when you're moving off, as I'm about to demonstrate. But the blind spot must be a proper blind spot. So it's not about what's over there, like that like this here. If I do a little look like this with my head, if I do that, that's not a blind spot, because I can see over there in my peripheral vision. A proper blind spot requires me turning the head like this, so my shoulder is out here, and I'm looking out through the back window like that. And another important point is, if I do check my mirrors and blind spot, like I check my mirrors and blind spot like that, and even if I do it properly, now already 2 seconds or 3 seconds have elapsed, and here's a few cars coming now, you see. So unless I move off straight away after my initial blind spot, it's going to go out of date. So it's important that I refresh my blind spot when I'm moving off, so that it's safer, it's more fresher in my head, and it's more up to date. I have made a video on 5 tips for moving off for the driving test. I will link to that in the description, and you may see a link on the top of the screen as well. So anyway, as I always say in my videos, it's 1, 2, 3, like 1 gear stick, 2 indicators, and 3 mirrors and blind spot. I've watched some videos on YouTube and they say don't bother indicating if nobody can see you. But sure, how do you know if nobody can see you? Like just because I don't see anything in my mirrors doesn't mean there's nobody back there. So it's always good to indicate, because it lets people know what your intentions are. So I'll demonstrate now the moving off. So here goes. So I'm going to go into first gear. I'm going to indicate my intention now to move off. Check my mirrors as well. Now all 3 mirrors and blind spot, and out I go then. And I'm checking my mirrors as I go. Little blind spot again, and out I go. Good to check the mirrors as well, just as I'm pulling away. So that's how we do that there. It's very important to give the 3 mirrors and a good proper blind spot. And as I said, if the blind spot goes in any way out of date, then you have to refresh it. This person also gathered a mark on observation, turning right. So she was at a T-junction like this. So let's say she's the blue car, and she was pulling out then to take a right turn and to go this way. So the thing here is, you have to remember, you're crossing 2 lanes. 1, 2. You're crossing 2 lanes. That's like double the work if you're going left. It's very important that you keep the head moving left and right, left and right. You must not simply give 1 look right, 1 look left, and then look straight ahead and go. If you do that, you are going to get a mistake. You're going to get a mark, whether it's a grade 2 or even a grade 3 if some car flies up from the side. So let's bring it back here again then. Now, so you've stopped in a nice position there, you're in a good right of centre position. What you have to do here is you have to keep the head moving, left and right, left and right. Perhaps even creep out a little bit. That might be no harm either if you want to get a better view. Now, once you've decided to go, and again, on the basis that you're keeping the old head moving left and right, what you need to do is just when you're about here, say, so like you're just probably give or take halfway between this line and this line, what you have to do is to get 1 last look to the left. Just a confirmatory look to make sure nothing is coming. It can kind of be done as you're moving. So 1 last look to the left as you're going, and away you go then. Bob's your father's brother. I have left a link in the description on observation. So check that out for a detailed breakdown of observation at junctions and at roundabouts. You'll notice as well there that there is a cluster of marks on hazards, overtaking safely, clearance, and just kind of giving way when you're about to overtake, or not overtaking when there's an oncoming car coming. I think that's what it's in reference to. It's very important when you're dealing with parked cars that you move out early and gradually, and that you watch out for oncoming cars. So you shouldn't pull out and overtake if you don't have right of way. You should always give way if the parked cars are on your side. In this video, I will demonstrate that. So as I was saying, this person seemed to have lost marks on overtaking, both in terms of yielding to oncoming traffic and overtaking safely. So I'm going to be coming down here now where I may have some parked cars to deal with, and I may not have the initial right of way. So it's important that I plan ahead here and I look ahead. So I'm going to just check my mirrors before I slow down to second gear. Now I'm kind of moving out here gradually. I'm trying to peek through the gap there between the car and the wall. It looks okay for now. I'm coming around the bend here now, keep an eye on my mirrors. Now I can just see a silver car coming down there. Mirrors and indicate my intention to move out. You probably can't see that silver van, but I can. I'm going to go into first gear, leaving a nice gap there between myself and the blue van. There goes the silver car. I'll check my mirrors, out I go then. There's nobody else down there, so I can overtake safely. And I'm just kind of keeping an eye over there on the left, just to make sure I'm approximately a door length, which I am there by the looks of it. And here's another person then, so I just check my mirrors coming in, and I indicate my intentions to move out. But it looks like he's flashed me there, so I can go then in that case, no problem. So I offered that person the right to go, and I think he flashed me twice. So because he flashed me and I had checked my mirrors and it was safe to go, it's absolutely fine that I proceed then. But I didn't proceed blindly, like I proceeded only once I was absolutely certain that the other car was letting me go. But the main thing there was I was planning ahead, I was thinking ahead, and I was trying my best to let the other cars go and give the other cars right of way, because that's what they had. They had the initial right of way. So in this case, I have the right of way because the parked cars are not on my side. So the car up there should be yielding to me like he is, and he's indicating correctly as well. So this is okay because I can proceed here because I have right of way, and the other car, the taxi there, has given way to me. So it's always important that you give way when the obstruction is on your side, but then in most cases you should be okay to proceed if the obstruction is on their side, provided everything is safe. And again, I'm coming down here now on a kind of a residential street, so I may have a few cars there. I'm just going to give that guy a bit of room there as well. So here I'm just going to check my mirrors, indicate. I'm looking ahead now to make sure there's nobody else there, nobody else coming, so I feel then that I'm okay to overtake. I just glanced at the mirrors then as I'm coming back in. So I looked ahead there, I planned ahead, I moved out gradually, and I felt it was safe there because there was no cars coming. We'll notice a mark there on progress turning right as well. It's just a grade 1 mark. It's understandable that people may be nervous, may be anxious in the driving test, but it is very important to go if it's safe. If you feel there's a safe gap there, if you're turning right, for example, like in this instance, and the car that you're worried about is far away that you cannot read the number plate, and that they don't look like they're increasing their speed, then you should go. Of course, it depends on the situation, but try and show confidence, try and be decisive, and if it's safe to go, just go. We also notice one on the clutch there. So this could be about coasting, which is using the clutch too much, as in keeping the clutch pressed in. It's important that you do not coast excessively. Only use the clutch when you're stopping or changing gear or maybe creeping out or reversing. You shouldn't be pressing it for excessively long periods of time, and you should try and avoid as well coming up off the clutch really quick, because if you come up off the clutch quick, the car is likely to jerk or jump, especially if you're going down the gears from third to second. Try and have your drive as smooth as possible. This person also lost a mark on road markings. So there's a couple of road markings here I'm going to point out for you, okay? We have some hatch lines there, okay? Hatch lines. We have a cycle bay there. Of course, we have a yellow box right there in the middle, and more hatch lines there. Now, she didn't say exactly where the markings were. I'm not even sure if the tester was specific enough to tell her where the road markings were. But in general, just try and be aware of your road markings when you're driving along. So watch out for the hatch lines here. Now if you look closely, you'll see that there are actually broken lines there by the looks of it. So if it's broken hatch lines, it's okay to go on to them if you're turning right. But if the hatch lines are surrounded by a solid white line, then you must not cross them unless it's some kind of an emergency. The yellow box, make sure you don't get stuck in the yellow box. You can go up into the yellow box and wait in it, if you're waiting to turn right, as long as you don't stay there permanently. Like even if there's traffic lights and subsequently after the lights turn red, you still have to clear the junction because you can't get stuck in the box. Make sure that you don't kind of end up stopping in a cycle bay like that, for example. That's another important point. And just generally speaking, make sure you don't straddle the middle lines too much. And just generally be aware of all road markings like bus lanes, cycle bays, yellow boxes, hatch lines and things like that. Plan ahead, think ahead. This person also lost a mark on the reverse around the corner. It was under the competency category of reversing around the corner. So from emailing this person, it appears that she was a little bit weavy, so she was kind of maybe drifting a bit away here, maybe not keeping the wheel straight. I mean, for the start, if this is the corner, so this is the start and this is the end of the corner. Try and keep the wheel fairly straight at the start anyway to avoid any weaves. But it probably happened here. Maybe she went a bit wide here, and maybe kind of, this bit here, like towards the end, she probably went a little bit like this. Just kind of, took the scenic route to get into the end. It comes down to practice, really. Generally speaking, on the reverse around the corner, the less steering you do, the better, because you don't want to be going around weaving and in and out like that. It doesn't look the best. I have made a video on the reverse around the corner. I've made a video on a steering solution, so I'm not going to go into all that now. I will leave a link in the description for my reversing around the corner videos, where you can learn about the curb, about judging the distance from the curb, observation and steering. This person also lost marks on the turnabout under competency again. I know from emailing her that the reason she lost marks on the turnabout was because she stalled the car on the turnabout. So at some point, whether she was going across like this or when she was reversing on the turnabout, she probably lifted the clutch a little bit too quick, maybe didn't have enough juice maybe. Maybe it was down to nerves, lack of experience, whatever. And it basically, the lack of foot balance caused the car to conk out. I would advise you that if you do stall the car on the driving test, whether it's a turnabout here or a hill start, whatever, try not to dwell on it. Just throw up the handbrake, start again, move on, and try not to let that go round and round in your head. Move on, focus on the road ahead, and you can get over the mistake. On the turnabout, just on that point about this lady cutting out, when you start your turnabout, make sure you give a good full look around at the start. So that sets the scene. But you're not just looking out for cars or cyclists or pedestrians, you're also looking out for any hills. So maybe there might be a little bit of a hill here, or there might be a bit of a hill here where you're about to reverse back to. So if you're aware of what kind of ground you're on, what kind of topography it is, if there's much hills, is there a bit of a dip down there? If you're aware of all that, it can help you make a good decision in terms of whether to use the handbrake over here, or maybe to be extra cautious with your clutch control going back, etc. So once you have a good look around, it can kind of set the scene and it can kind of set you up to do a good turnabout. One more thing on the turnabout, just when you're doing your clutch control, because I'm just being specific here on the reason this person got the fault was because she conked out. When you're doing your turnabout, just try and keep your clutch control very gentle. If you're doing clutch control, you don't want to be going like with your feet up and down, like really quick movements up and down with your left foot, with your clutch. Try keep it very slow and very smooth. Again, I have made a video on clutch control, so I'm going to leave a link in the description if you would like to check out that video on how to do good, proper clutch control. Whether you are doing the driving test for the first, second or multiple times, try and put in as much practice and prepare as best you can by getting professional lessons and of course by watching these videos. Always remember, the more you prepare, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get, because we all need a bit of luck from time to time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate the support. And if you have any comments or questions, just let me know down below in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back soon.